Thank you, and good evening to all members. Welcome everybody, welcome everybody present for the meeting at the Civic Centre and those observing the meeting on Microsoft Teams. Fire alarm procedures: there are no fire drills are expected this evening, so in the event of an alarm sounding, please quickly make your way out of the building. There are 3 exits from the room which members can use to vacate the premises. Please switch mobile phones onto silent or switch off and take any calls outside of the council chamber. Please do not leave any possessions unaccompanied or report any unaccompanied possessions. Remember to take any possessions with you when the meeting has concluded or as you leave the meeting. The meeting may be subject to filming or audio recording by others in accordance with the council's filming protocol. Anyone who remains in the meeting following this announcement will have deemed to have consented to allow their image to be recorded and broadcast. I'd like to remind members to turn on the microphone when speaking and to sit back from the microphone to assist with the audio recording. Thank you.
Can we not overtalk the people on the microphone, so the people can hear you? Okay. Right, item 1, absolute.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to remind that the following servants from Councillor Bell, Hartshorn, Ansett and Barton.
Thank you. Question 2. Yeah. Right. Item 2. Clear of any threat. Are there any clear of any threat?
Chair, I'd like to declare interest under item 10, which I will leave the room at the point of that item. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Item 3. Minutes of the meeting on the 16th of September. Can we have a proposal? John Coulter. Chair. Can we have a second? All in field. Does anyone else attended or voted on this and also meeting? Is there any? No. We put minutes and vote. Show of hands, please. In favour. Against. Abstention. She wasn't present. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Minutes have been approved. Item 4. Receipt of correspondence. Have there been any correspondence?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yes, I can confirm we have received a response from Councillor Barton, the leader of Nottingham County Council, in relation to letter sent by the Elected Mayor following the September Council meeting in relation to a motion on climate change. Thank you.
Please.
So thank you to Councillor Barton for sending the response on the 24th of November. It's been circulated, but there are a few things that are worth sharing from direct from the letter. Nottinghamshire County Council has demonstrated a strong commitment to environmental sustainability and climate action under the leadership of its administration. To guide its efforts, the Council has developed strategic frameworks, including corporate environment strategy, the The member for Transport and Environment is also working with officers on a new environmental sustainable framework, which will be launched at the turn of the year. These documents outline the Council's approach to reducing emissions and enhancing energy efficiency and promoting sustainable development across the county. I won't read each subsection, but there's a policy on governance and strategic direction that says the County Council sets a clear vision and strategic direction on environmental sustainability. Talks about biodiversity, and then it refers to complementing this is a carbon reduction plan from 2022 to 2032, which targets energy efficiencies and thus emissions from key operational areas such as buildings, highways, transport, and to ensure accountability and transparency. The Council participates in a climate action scorecard, an independent assessment tool that evaluates performance across 7 domains of climate action. Then there's a section on built environment and energy efficiency, renewable energy and carbon reduction, biodiversity and green infrastructure, woodland creation and carbon sequestration, transport and mobility, community engagement and education, health, resilience and adaptation, and monitoring, report and the future outlook. So I thank Councillor Barton for this information. The only confusing thing for me is that in our last full council meeting, he described everything to do with climate emergency as bizarre and voted against our motion about all these things that are already encompassed in their policy. So I will be writing back because it's very confusing, especially when we were talking about supporting our motion around the climate net zero target of 2040, which was ridiculed. But I know that the County Council's policy is actually 2030. So this is really confusing. It's in your letter. It's here.
No, it's not.
So I will be plenty opportunity to continue this, because it's very confusing, the double standard that's taken in this chamber compared to County Council. And the fundamental question was that is reform under that leadership going to support the initiatives for us to work together towards that zero climate? And that's the letter I'll be sending.
Item 5, advance question for members of the public. Is there any question from the public? Not chair. Thank you, Donna.
Item 6.
Question submitted by elected members. Are there any
Submitted.
I confirm the full chair.
Sue,
Thank you, Chair. I'm really concerned about the recent news concerning the curious decision made by Nottinghamshire County Council to allocate £75,000 of public funds for the purchase of flags. My concerns relate to the pressing issues faced by our community. Would it not be wiser to redirect these funds towards services that should be provided by Notts County Council, such as adult social care and the long overdue repairs of our roads? Does the Mayor share my concerns? Will he consider contacting the leader of Notts County Council to request that the funds be allocated to support the community rather than spent on flags and banners? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Swinscoe. I and
numerous members of the public I and numerous members of the public have expressed concern about this policy. They're arguing that £75,000 on flags, around £47 for installation, is morally wrong when over 22% of Nottinghamshire children live on low-income households. Services are under strain, demand for food banks, mental health and secondary support for secondary is rising. The money, they say, should go to funding real needs like school breakfast clubs, counselling and emergency accommodation. It's also been raised that there's been a lack of consultation democratically and weak accountability. There's been no meaningful public consultation about this, where the residents want it, and this is framed as a performed decision-making, really, than a genuine local democracy. Other issues that have been raised, that flags are a source of division and intimidation. For many residents, especially people of colour, the flags feel intimidating rather than patriotic. Examples are given of racist abuse, Nazi salutes, and concern that these flags will daily feel like a reminder of hostility rather than of belonging. And especially concerned about the association with the English flag with far-right movements, and Raise the Colour campaign, which is reporting involving far-right extremists, and to incidents where to groups like Britain First. We've all looked on the news, we've seen these rallies, and it's really quite disturbing the way it's actually causing our society to break up and not come together, which is what those flags are all about. It needs to appear that these flags are not neutral symbols. An alternative vision of patriotism of unity has been given by many, including Gareth Southgate, who we all admire and look up to as a leader of our country. Did some fantastic work with the England team, and he says that, you know, patriotism should emphasise what unites people and not divide them. Flags are welcomed when bringing people together for national events. This is why we all love the flags. When you've got royal occasions, big sports tournaments, but not as a permanent, politicised fixture. So the critique on reform's motives and messaging, it's really a reform promotion of their party. It has nothing to do with being patriotic, and it's sending subliminal anti-immigration messages rather than genuine celebrating county or country. So I could go on, because there's many things, but what I think a lot of people are angry about is that somehow this reform flag flying exercise is saying that they're more patriotic than everyone else in this country, and that is a real disgrace. So I will be right in outlining those points.
Thank you.
Mark, Councillor
Thank you, Chair. Should the leader of Nottingham County Council decide to ignore your advice and, as one of our constituents stated, choose to raise flags instead of living standards, and after taking into consideration the proposed locations for these flags in Mansfield, as well as the recent trends that have been observed, what advice would you provide to the leader of Nottinghamshire County Council?
I've covered quite a lot in that my initial response, but at the heart of this, it's when
money can be so well spent in other places. It should not be used for strategically choosing locations to advertise and promote their own party through this flag thing that's totally got out of control. And you know, it's taking away that warm feeling of patriotism that's across every religion, every colour, wherever you're from, you feel patriotic, but it shouldn't be used as a promotion, and we'll be pointing that out.
That's answering for your question to the portfolio cooperative finance.
It's been some time since the last update of DBS status of elected councillors. Could the Cabinet member please give us an update on whether all members have successfully completed their DBS check?
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for your question, Councillor Anderson. Nearly all elected members had a basic DBS check in late 2023, early 2024. There was only one member who was unable to undertake this assessment due to serious health. This member has recently provided the required information, and the DBS check is going to be completed.
Thank you, Graham.
Chair, I do. Thank you. A DBS check is a snapshot in time of any conviction, caution and unspent convictions. Can the Cabinet member agree to a routine programme regarding DBS checks? This would be where members have a DBS sign, much like taxi drivers do, to ensure that we are fit and proper people to carry out our roles and responsibilities within the community. The most effective and most cost-effective way to maintain a current DBS check is by using the DBS update service with an annual fee of £16. I'm sure that councils will be willing to pay that £16 from their allowance that they receive. This would give vulnerable residents peace of mind that we are all indeed fit and proper people to represent them and their communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. There is currently no specific requirements for DBS checks at all at the moment. We did it as a result of the last motion. We could consider undertaking a DBS check maybe on a regular 4-year cycle of elected members, or if we wanted to identify any councillors who work with vulnerable people or children, we could look at the NDC zone policies every 3 years. But I'm open to suggestions on that.
Advanced question 6. Councillor, please leave your question to the finance.
Why did it take until 2023 for a full structural survey of Woodley Street car park to be undertaken when the new concrete pairs was identified as far back as 2015 and then a total of £2.35 million was spent on the recladding project between 2018 and 2023, which also highlighted structural issues. Yet it took until late 2023 for a full structural survey to be for a full structural survey to actually be undertaken, which highlighted the need for further structural works to be carried out with a further £2.627 million being committed at that time. Shouldn't a full structural survey have happened 10 years ago?
Very good. Provide the question, please.
Yes, of course. Thank you for your question, Councillor Andrew. Members will know that legal proceedings were issued against the council by Tesco Stores Limited on the 16th of October 2025. Because of that, on very clear legal advice, I'm not able to go into the historical decision making you've referenced today. I appreciate this is not the detailed answer you were hoping for, but at this point, commenting any further would genuinely prejudice the council's position. When the legal process allows, I will ensure members receive a full and transparent briefing.
Thanks for that, Craig. Some mention. No? Councillor, please, your question for the portfolio, corporate finance.
Thank you, Chair. In the report of the Review Scrutiny Committee in December 2023, following a full structural survey, the Council submitted a further 2.227 million of funds to fix a number of structural issues highlighted. Can you confirm how much of that work has actually been undertaken prior to the recent collapse?
Of course, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Moxon. Following the survey that went to Review Scrutiny in December 2023, funding was allocated for further works. I can confirm that none of these works were undertaken before the recent collapse. As with the previous question, the ongoing legal action limits what I can say beyond that. And I know it's frustrating to get a restricted answer, but we do need to handle this carefully to protect both the council and the public purse. Once it's appropriate to share more, I'll ensure the members are updated.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Sorry, I appreciate the legal advice, and I suspect we might know what the answer is to the follow-up question, but were there any of that?
I think I answered that in the first part of the question, in that not repairs have been undertaken, and I can't go into any details.
Extra meeting for the Governance Standards Committee on Treasure Management Monitoring Report, April 2025 to June 2025. And Councillor,
yeah, I'll propose this, Chair.
you have a second?
Right.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Does anyone wish to comment on this one?
Chair, in the absence of the Chair, Councillor Bell, I do have something to read out. Treasury Management Monitoring Report 2025-26. Treasury Management Monitoring Report Quarter 1 of 25-26 was presented to the Governance and Standards Committee on 24th of September 2025. In summary, the report covered local authorities are required to approve an annual Treasury Management Strategy for the commencement of each new financial year. Mansfield District Council approved its Treasury Management Strategy for 25-26 on the 4th of March 2025, and this report communicates how the Council performed against the strategy for Quarter 1. Section 4 discusses borrowing in the year. As per Section 4.1, during Quarter 1 of 2025-26 financial year, the Council took out £10 million in new loans. The Council's total borrowing stood at £60.8 million at the 30th of June 2025. The majority of this loan debt has been taken out with the Public Works Loan Board, which offers preferential interest rates to local authorities. Section 5 discusses the Council's investments throughout the year. as per section 5.2 at 30th June 2025, the council had 17.5 million invested in financial institutions, the majority of which were held with other local authorities. Section 6 discussed the rate of return. The council received an average rate of return of 4.71% against an average base rate of 4.33% for period to 30th June as a result of the Bank of England Monetary Policy Committee reducing the bank rate from 5.25% to 4.25% from July 2024 to May 2025. When investing money in banks and building societies, this council sets high credit criteria which reduces the risks of the council not getting its investments back due to default. During the period to 30th June 2025, the council did not invest with any financial institutions which fell below the minimum level approved by the council when it sets its treasury management strategy.
Thanks for that, John. Councillor Hughes, you accept.
Right to reply?
No.
Right, we're off to
Somebody else to speak on this motion?
No.
Back to John.
Nobody else, right.
So
So
we'll
we'll
move
move the motion to vote on it.
and I vote
Use the vote,
and can
and I have to vote
for it?
for it.
Okay. Numbers.
Motion carried. Right.
Item 8,
Executive
executive meeting, minutes for the standing meeting of the church and for 2024-25. John Cox said.
I'll propose, Chair.
We have a second, please.
Reserve the right.
Right, thank you.
Councillor
John Cox said, can we have the report, please?
Yeah, in the absence of Councillor Alan Bell, I will read out the notes and report. In this report, I wish to express my thanks for the assistance I have received from members of the Governance and Standards Committee and for all their hard work and diligence. I consider that having non-elected independent members of the committee adds value and technical expertise. I also particularly appreciate the support provided to the committee throughout the year by the Assistant Director of Law, Governance and People, the Director of Corporate Resources, the Corporate Assurance Manager, Financial Services Manager and Democratic Services. I would also like to thank Council, colleagues and external auditors who have attended our meetings and answered our questions. Those attending the committee can confirm that it provides a positive challenge in terms of both the assurance work reported on the management response. I appreciate the training that has been provided to the committee and to members in general during 24-25. I consider that it is essential that all members attend training provided, particularly when it is classed as being mandatory, such as data protection and cybersecurity. This report summarises the work performed by the committee during 24-25 and how it has contributed to ensuring the council has effective governance arrangements. In conclusion, I consider that the Governance and Standards Committee has effectively delivered its role during 24-25 and provided a constructive challenge and scrutiny of a wide range of governance arrangements in line with its terms of reference. I am confident that the committee has always acted independently and added value to the council.
Thank you, John. Does anybody want to speak on this motion?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to reiterate some of what Councillor Cox has just read out. I would concur that it's a very useful committee. We put a lot of challenge in towards both the executive and towards the governance within the council. And I think it's worth saying that it can be to some people, not to me as an accountant, but to some people, this can be quite dull work. And I think Councillor Bell and his stewardship manages to make it quite an interesting meeting most of the time. So it's not one of these that we really sort of despise going to or anything like that. We sort of look forward to going, look forward to hearing from all of the officers that speak here and then challenge. And I think everyone on that committee challenges very well, regardless of political colour. I'd just like to take the opportunity as well to wish Councillor Bell a speedy recovery and hope to see him back chairing that meeting and back in the chamber of those things.
Anybody else want to speak on this motion? Thank you. You need to speak. Want to speak? Oh, sorry. Councillor.
Yeah, nothing else to add, Chair.
Right, cheers. Move to the vote. Can I have the vote, please? This is, sorry. Numbers, the vote's carried. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item 9. Next meetings, good standing committee, our second Treasury Management Board, April 2025, September.
Councillor John Coulson, can you report?
Yes, Chair, I'll propose this.
Second on this. Thank you, David.
Yeah, and again, thirdly, due to the absence of the Chair, Councillor Bell, I'll read out the monitoring report. Treasury Management Monitoring Report Quarter 2 of 2025-26 was presented to the Governance and Standards Committee on the 19th of November 2025. In summary, the report covered local authorities are required to approve an annual Treasury Management Strategy before commencement of each new financial year. Mansfield District Council approved its Treasury Management Strategy for 25-26 on 4th of March, and this report communicates how the Council performed against the strategy up to the end of Quarter 2. Section 4 discusses borrowing of the year. As per 4.1, during the period 1st of April 2025 to 30th of September 2025, the Council took out 20 million new loans. The Council's total borrowing stood at 78.8 million at the 30th of September 2025. The majority of this loan debt has been taken out with the Public Works Loan Board, which offers preferential interest rates to local authorities. Section 5 discussion discussed the Council's investments throughout the year as per Section 5.2 at 30th of September 2025. Council had 25.5 million invested in financial institutions, the majority of which were held in local authorities. Section 6 discusses the rate of return the council received an average rate of return of 5.53% against an average of 4.21 period 30th September 2025 as a result of the Bank of England's Monetary Policy Committee reducing the bank rate from 5.25% to 4% from July 24 to August 25. When investing money in banks and building societies, this council sets high credit criteria which reduces the risk of the council not getting this investment back due to default. During the period 30th September 2025, the council did not invest with any financial institutions which fell below the minimum level approved by the council when it sets its treasury management strategy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Would anyone wish to comment on the motion? No. Councillor, you want to comment? Nothing else, Cripple.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Then, for the Service Committee, although they give the report, the Chief Executive.
Yeah, so I put myself down as the proposer.
Invite you to speak on it.
Yeah, the Personnel Committee have met and they've gone over the performance of our Chief Executive since he's been in post. There was kind of unanimous support. This assessment involved external bodies, a cut through the whole of the organisation to give their opinions and performance on our Chief Executive since taking post. It was unanimous support for the work that our Chief Executive, James Middleton, has done in that time. And really, I could wax lyrical about all the superlatives about how he's really got stuck in and addressed the many challenges that have come our way. But the three main things that really says it all is that as a Chief Executive, this is the qualities that you want, that he acts with integrity and authenticity. And he's always solution focused and wanting to achieve effective outcomes. A lot of chief execs or leaders use this phrase, my door is always open, but not many of them actually mean it. And across the organisation, no matter what part of whether part of the Labour, Conservative, officers, Reform, James is always acting in the utmost professional way and is there for everyone. So we were very pleased that we unanimously voted that we want James to be the permanent position of Chief Executive of Mansfield District Council. Does anybody wish to comment on the motion?
I concur what I'm sure they're not you organising pilots here. And actually this one has actually took up the mantle and run with it. And he has been faced with lots and lots of issues. And he has always met those challenges head on for the residents of Mansfield. I think we are extremely lucky at MDC to have appointed James Biddleston. Joey, hi James.
Anybody else want to speak on the meeting? Oh, sorry.
I also like to concur with the Mayor and Councillor Hallahan on the appointment of James Biddleston as our CEO. I think as we can see by the next item on the agenda that they are going through a period of change.
And we do need a strong person at the helm, somebody that respects our wishes as a council
and has our residents at heart, so that we do the best thing for this area. And I think James is that person.
Is anybody else
to speak on?
Thank you, Mayor. You didn't mention the independent group, by the way. It's not that over the years, 18 years, can't remember being that long. And I've always been independent. And I do say that all the chief execs we've had over the last 16, 18 years, they've always been welcome into every party, every group, and every individual of this council. So my knowledge. And I've got full confidence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I apologise? Sorry, if I can. Does anybody else? Thank you.
Yes,
I would. I concur, especially in this, and I think it's an absolutely brilliant text review of the best year we've had. I wrote down, because I can't remember like you, conscientious, approachable, intelligent, and he's got his ambitions for Mansfield. And he's faced some really difficult problems. And I think he's done it with cheerfulness, and you ring him up, he'll always bring you back. He's really top man, and we're very happy at this time. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Just to finish off, you really do need a sense of humour to open up. You really do need a sense of humour to cope with all the challenges that come our way. That thing about future leadership, a young, very talented individual who already is showing leadership through that local government organisation, putting us right at the heart of it. And now we're just about to embark on further the Heartlands, which is the centre of the East Midlands County Combined Authority, and he's pushing us forward. So it's going to be great for Mansfield going forward under his leadership, and we should celebrate it and get that out there, so all his peers now know he's the permanent chief executive for Mansfield. Thank you. We are now moving to the vote. We have the
vote's unanimous. Okay, thank you. It's carried.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for that warm welcome to the room. It's greatly appreciated. This report covers that of the local reorganisation in Nottinghamshire, and for members aware this, it covers from pages 51 to 82 within your agenda pack. The purpose of the report is to consider the submission, the final business case for local government reorganisation here in Nottinghamshire, in line with government's criteria and requirements. The decision to submit the final business case proposal, which is within Appendix B of the report, is an executive decision of the Executive Mayor. However, as local government reorganisation presents the biggest change for this council in 50 years and will impact significantly on the organisation's services, it was considered appropriate that the council has the opportunity for debate, so in which the Executive Mayor consider this before arriving at a decision tomorrow. Just in terms of some background for the council, on the 16th of December 2024, you will recall the government published the English Devolution White Paper, Power and Partnership, Foundation of Growth. And the White Paper aims to develop greater powers to regions and local areas to improve public services and drive economic growth. The White Paper also describes new architecture of streamlined government, looking at 3 new tiers within local government, that of national government, strategic authorities and principal authorities. Under the proposed architecture, the East Midlands Combined County Authority, EMCA, would become the mayoral strategic authority under this revised structure. The White Paper outlines the principal authorities to be that of unitary councils, with the abolishment of district, county, borough and city within a 2-tier setting as we currently know it. Alongside the publication of the White Paper in December 2024, 16th of, the Minister of State of Local Government and English Devolution wrote to leaders of 9 councils in the area of the county of Nottinghamshire and the city, along with district and boroughs, outlining their intention to formally invite proposals for local government reorganisation with a requirement to submit an interim plan, which was in March of this year, contained a letter with Appendix A. On the 5th of February 2025, the Minister of State issued a formal invitation for the 9 council leaders, asking each leader to work with other council leaders in the areas to develop a proposal for local government reorganisation, and that letter is in Appendix B. And the timeline outlined asked for interim plans to be submitted before the 21st of March this year, with feedback to be provided to MHCLG officials for the development of a detailed business case submission for the 28th of November. Within that letter, it contains 6 criteria, for which full details of this criteria are contained within Appendix B, and those 6 criteria formulate the requirements to develop the business case. The interim plan that was developed contained 3 options, hopefully Council will recall, around how the unitary structure in Nottingham and Nottinghamshire could look like. There was a proposal which is referenced or known as Option 1B, which looked at a new unitary authority combining Nottingham City, Broxtowe and Gedling, and a second new unitary authority covering the remaining county, including Ashfield, Bassetlaw, Mansfield, Newark and Sherwood and Rushcliffe. And again, that option has been known to and referred to as 1B. Within the interim plan, there was also an option of a new unitary authority combining Nottingham City, Broxtowe and Rushcliffe. And a second new unitary authority covering the remaining county, include Ashford, Bassetlaw, Gedling, Newark, Mansfield and Newark Sherwood, referenced as 1E. There was also in the interim plan another unitary authority covering Nottingham City, as we currently know its current arrangements, with a second unitary covering the remaining county footprint, and that was at that point referenced as Option 2. Just to confirm, in the summer of 2025, there was a more detailed analysis undertaken, commissioned by all Nottinghamshire authorities, that concluded that Option 2 did not adequately meet a number of the government's criteria. It was therefore discounted at that stage, with no further development by collective representative authorities. At the meeting of the council held on the 17th of March, it was determined that information that was provided as part of the interim submission, that there was an expression of preference for option 1E within this chamber as part of the interim report. And that was presented as the preference of development for the business case, which is presented within this report. Subsequently, during and following the option appraisal, you'll be aware that Nottingham City advised that they wish to consider an alternative to unitary option, with one unitary based on the city with extended boundaries into parts of Broxtowe, Gedling and Rushcliffe, and the other unitary based on the remaining of the county footprint. This has subsequently been worked on, and this option is known to and referred to as B2. At this stage, Ashfield District Council have not determined a preference of considering of the options, but will provide a position by the end of November, and Broxtowe indicated no wish to participate within the submission or response to reorganisation. As part of the development of the business case around community engagement, there is no statutory requirement to consult the members of the public affected by the proposed reorganisation, but the Secretary of State invitation and guidance did reference that it's for councils to decide how best to engage locally in a meaningful and constructive way, and this engagement activity should be evidenced within the proposal. All the Nottinghamshire authorities agreed to a joint approach and the specification of an independent exercise. This engagement exercise was carried out over a 6-week period and concluded on the 14th of September this year. In total, there were 11,483 responses to the engagement exercise, and this is a much higher level of responses than many other areas undertaking the LGR engagement input. 4 focus groups were also brought together involving 34 local residents, reflecting the diversity of Nottinghamshire and organised by both rural and urban areas. Over 96% of respondents live within Nottinghamshire, with responses received from all 9 affected areas. The highest number of responses came from Rushcliffe, Broxtowe and Gedling. Mansfield accounted for 4% of the responses, which was approximately 99.7% of the district population. What's really important to note for council is respondents highlighted the need for new councils to focus on delivering good quality, core and universal services, such as roads and pavements, managing, dealing and resolving and supporting the activities to prevent crime and antisocial behaviour, clean streets and travel and transport. And respondents highlighted the importance of involving residents in decision making to ensure the future councils understand and are responsive to the needs of different communities and areas, including both urban and rural. In regards to the core options, the submission, which is contained within Appendix D, has been developed by officers from across 4 councils, that of Bassetlaw, Gedling, ourselves and Newark and Sherwood, with input also, though, from Ashfield and Broxtowe on an advisory basis. There was also the commissioning of PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC and SIPFA, have been developed and continue to develop the financial analysis of options for both 1B and 1E. Unfortunately, given the timescales, there was varying approaches or analysis using the foundation data, but there are not direct comparators within the business case for that of the option being considered as option B2 for the city. The proposal must be submitted this Friday, Friday the 28th, and the government will consider the proposal and take decision on how to proceed, including laying any necessary legislation and working with councils to move to new shadow unitary councils. At this stage, it's anticipated the announcement will be made in the summer, but only during following statutory consultation, hopefully within the new year. Timelines for the new unitary authorities to be implemented are expected to be April 2028 at the earliest, which would be the vesting date of any new unitary authority. In terms of alternative options considered or presented to council, the council could decide or can decide to not to respond to the Secretary of State's invitation. However, a new structure will be implemented irrespective of this. And notwithstanding concerns about some aspects of reorganisation, the council has determined that the responsible thing to do on behalf of the district and our communities is to participate fully in the process. This includes making its position known on a preferred option that reflects the criteria given by central government. There are 2 recommendations for council this evening. Recommendation 1 is to endorse and note the submission of the 1E local government reorganisation business case for Nottingham and Nottinghamshire. The details of 1E include the creation of 2 unitary councils based on a north-south model. The first based on the existing boundaries of Ashfield, Bassetlaw, Gedling, Mansfield, Newark and Sherwood, and the second based on Broxtowe, Nottingham City and Rushcliffe. The second recommendation to Council are to continue to work collaboratively with other local authorities across Nottingham and Nottinghamshire on the implementation of the proposals for the new authorities. At that stage, Chair, that concludes the presentation of the report.
Is there any questions on this report? Thank you, Caroline.
It's an observation. I want to set out my concerns about
So I would suggest that unless it's a question to James for a point of clarification, if it's an observation, that you use the debate part of the meeting for that.
Any more questions on the report?
Clarification. James, the chief exec, I think he said 11,000 so many had responded, of which there was 4% from the Mansfield area. And then out of the 4%, that equated to 9% of Mansfield or something like that. Have I got that right?
For clarity, Councillor, so yeah, I referenced that over 90% of respondents live within Nottinghamshire, with respondents received from all 9 affected areas. The highest number of responses came from Rushcliffe, Broxtowe and Gedling. Mansfield accounted for 4% of the responses, which was approximately 9.7% of the district population.
That's right. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor, based on a response rate, there was 11,483 responses.
Does anybody else want to question on this report? No? No? Have a proposer for the recommendation.
Yeah, I'd like to propose it, please.
Have a seconder, please.
And I'd second that and reserve the right, Chair.
Can I invite you, the Mayor, to speak on the motion?
First of all, I want to thank all the officers across all the districts for the tremendous amount of work they've done in a very challenging time scale. You know, we're talking about first reorganisation of local government in 50 years in a very months timetable. The other thing I want to emphasise is that the support for option 1E is not because we just think it's the best option. We think it's the best option for the whole of Nottinghamshire. And it's worth emphasising that this was totally independent assessments using the same data. So you can actually compare apples and pears. You can't say, well, you use this data for this, use that data for the other. And the consultants had the same criteria that they were using the data for, and it came out that we are confident that option 1E, the Northern Unitary, hopefully, maybe the Sherwood Forest Unitary, will be selected. And these are the reasons why. I've said it before. I think a child could have looked at Nottinghamshire and said, where's a sensible geography? And they would have kind of drawn a line pretty much away across the half of Nottinghamshire. But the more detailed point around that is that it's a more coherent social economic grouping, avoiding extreme urban and rural asymmetry that's created by the alternative of 1B. So it's better balance between it's the other option, that balance between urban and north, in the urban and rural, it doesn't work. Also, deprivation is more evenly distributed with option 1E, having only 1.3% imbalance versus 12.3% in 1B. So these numbers, they might sound a bit boring, but these are the numbers that have crunched and come out from the consultants that actually give you a clear direction on why 1E is the favourable option that we're going for. People have questioned about adult social care and critical services. Well, the analysis has come out that option 1E enables £2.8 million of annual savings through reduced admissions by adopting a home first model, and that's where the stronger geography comes in with the balanced age profiles. 1E produces more equitable children's social care demand by avoiding the deep concentration created by clustering Nottingham City, Broxtowe and Gedling together under the 1B option. The geography of 1B would leave the northern unitary, and this is where you really get the sense of geography, 60 miles from north to south. And it's just, when you're thinking about planning services, it's just not a sensible geography, that 60-mile difference. So it explicitly that it's more efficient for workforce deployment and partnering, all the work that you do, you know, as your day-to-day business. It's been mentioned before about it's had the strongest democratic public support. And this is quite ironic that the Rushcliffe residents, who are the biggest participation in the survey, they voted that 1E was the best option, which is quite ironic when the leader of the county council, who is from Mansfield, actually thinks that Rushcliffe, Mansfield should be with Rushcliffe and not with our neighbours in Gedling. I find that quite confusing. But it's also, the North-South model offers the strongest platform for long-term housing growth, including capacity for Mansfield, Worksop, Newark and other polycentric nodes to support the East Midlands County Combined Authority exclusive growth. The other problem with 1B is that it's constrained by tighter southern boundaries. There's some floodplain limitations and ridge lines, which means making long-term growth harder to accommodate. So it's not just a preference in geography, it's a preference in the geology and the layout of the land as well. So the financial case is broadly a tie. There's not a lot to choose between them. But when you look at it in a little bit more detail, the 1E option will deliver a positive net benefit each financial year of £151 million per annum from year 5 and a cumulative benefit of £497 million over the 5-year period. So both options have a very positive net benefit position, but the payback, because of those statistics, for the North Unitary is only 0.92 years, whereas for the Southern Unitary it's 2.85 years. So that's another reason. And I referred to, we use People Services to do the analysis, who are used by central government and are highly come with great references, and their analysis shows that the two unitaries, People 2, is that adult social care and social care savings will be 20% per year in the first year of vesting, and then 50% savings in year 2 and 100% in year 3. So it's got not only the geographical argument, it's got the people of place, they're the communities that we know, they're our neighbours, and it's got the geography. So that is the reason at this point in time I'm saying it's the best for the whole of Nottinghamshire, and I hope you're going to support me taking this forward.
Have any comment on the motion? Pamela?
Yep. It's very long and complex, and it is. If you understand that, you're a better man than I am. Okay. Thank you, Chair. I want to set out my concerns about the reorganiser proposal before us today. Let me start by being very clear. I am not against the unitary model. Most of us accept that the current two-tier system isn't perfect. It's confusing, it duplicates work, and residents often don't know which council is responsible for which. So yes, a well-designed unitary could bring clarity, efficiency, and better value for money. But what have we been presented with here today is not that. It feels rushed. You've admitted that. In a year, you've done this. It's poorly thought through. It can only be poorly thought through because you haven't had time to think of it properly. And it's already dividing Nottinghamshire. The government's deadlines are extremely tight. An interim plan by March, a full proposal by November for something that is permanent. This is far-reaching and this is costly. That simply isn't enough time for a proper consultation, accurate costings, or a genuine engagement with the public. It feels like change for the change's sake. And here in Nottinghamshire, these pressures are exposing real fault lines. The southern districts, Rushcliffe, Broxtowe, Gedling, are deeply uneasy about any structure dominated by Nottingham City Council. Given the city's very serious financial problems, residents are worried, and we should not dismiss their concerns. We should also be honest about the financial history of this county. For decades, the wealthier southern districts have effectively subsidised the poorer northern districts through county-wide budgets. That is not a criticism. It's simply how a county family works. But the key question is now is this. In a new structure, where will those resources go? Will they continue to support the northern areas that genuinely need investment? Or will they be diverted to help prop up a financially unstable council in the city? Right now, we simply have no clear answers, just waffle. There is another crucial point that isn't being talked about enough. It's our country's historic identity. Nottinghamshire isn't just an administrative area, it's a shared heritage and a shared identity that families Ashfield, Mansfield, Bassetlaw, Rushcliffe and all the and Ashfield have held for generations. People are proud to be Nottinghamshire residents, yet most residents have no idea what this reorganisation could break, how that could break that apart. Creating a new unitary areas that bear little resemblance to Nottinghamshire, they don't know. And if you do take away local identity, you lose pride, belonging, and the sense that we are one county working together, and that matters. That will be gone. There'll be no county day, there'll be no nothing, be gone. What makes this even more frustrating is that Nottinghamshire once had a more coherent and affordable plan. The model put forward by former Conservative Council leader Kay Cutts. It was simpler, more manageable, and based on clear business cases and existing boundaries. The county would be one unitary and the city the other. Simple. But Labour don't make things simple. It didn't force together areas with very different financial positions, and it didn't risk damaging long-standing local identities. Whatever people thought of it, it was at least workable. We knew how it would work. We don't know how this is going to work. It's going to save money. You think it's going to save money, but the complexity of it, you can hear it tonight, the complexities are unbelievable. And I'd just like to say one thing. Do you remember Woodhouse Urban District Council? That was a very proud council, Mansfield Woodhouse. They loved it. It's gone. Woodhouse has no identity really. Once you lost that, you lost it. And if you lose Nottingham, no. You ask people, they remember Mansfield Woodhouse Urban District Council. It was part of the LA. It's gone. And once you get rid of the Notts County Council, it's gone forever. You're left with the northern one and the southern one. What we have now is a complicated, unpopular, and risk leaving both the north and south worse off, potentially for generations. So my message is simple. Yes, let's explore a unitary future, but let's do it properly. With time, with evidence, with public support, and with a model that serves the old Nottinghamshire, not one thrown together under political pressure or desperation. If we get this wrong, we can't undo it, and I will not support a process that risks dividing this county or weakening the service our residents rely on. Let's take a step back, slow down, and make sure we get it right. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Cameron. Does anybody else want to speak on this motion? Councillor Dennison. Yeah.
We're building something new. And I've heard a lot about numbers today, but beyond the numbers, I'd like to talk about identity. For any reorganisation or anything like this particular, where you're changing fundamental aspects of our area, you're going to need to have a culture backing that up. And contrary to what certain people have just said, I think the North Nottinghamshire has a very proud culture and has had for a long time. And to not get sidetracked, I would also say there's a lot more to a culture than flying one flag. The north of Nottinghamshire has always been separated from city areas. If you go to our town museum, you will see significant evidence of a long history going far back as Roman times. So that is how long there has been occupation in these areas. We all hear the stories of Robin Hood living in the forest. It's like, we are the people who were living in the forest alongside Robin Hood. So it's not that we do not have a culture, it is just that we do not talk about it as much. And in contrary to what some people might say, I think this will highlight our culture because we as Mansfield will be part of a northern culture. And it is also worth saying that in all of the proposed plans, Mansfield as a town was always going to be put in the north, whatever you called it, it was going to be on some sort of northern setting. And so in a sense, as the mayor already highlighted, in a way, it's academic for what Mansfield decides. We are deciding what happens to other people in Nottinghamshire. So we need to be working with these people to find what they want. And we talk about consulting residents. In a way, residents have been consulted. And it seems that certain residents in these areas do want to be part of a northern culture. And I think this is what we're going to support. Change is hard. So we need to look what binds us together. And I think we have a northern culture here that could bind us together. So I would ask all councillors to consider that northern culture that could be created in this situation today. Thank you.
Councillor Wright.
Thank you. Much of what Councillor Camilleri said, spot on. Adult social care is largely, well, the biggest spend in adult social care and children's social care is in Ashfield, Mansfield, Worksop. That money that supports that service comes from Rushcliffe, comes from Gedling, comes from Rushcliffe. And to say that because it's 60 miles from top to bottom of a option 1B is a bit smoke and mirrors, because we're not going to have bin lorries travelling from the top of the county or top of the new unitary to Rushcliffe. So the distance is irrelevant. We'll still have local depots like we have now. It's amazing that the sponsors of 1E have used a consultant, and the sponsors of 1B have used a different consultant, and they deliver different results. Very close, yes, but 1B is the better option. But why fool ourselves? We needn't fool ourselves at all, because the option that's going to be taken at the end of the day is the new city option. Because that's what the Labour Party wants. That's what the East Midlands Mayor will recommend. It doesn't matter. We're sat here discussing it. It doesn't matter. It won't change anything. But when that happens, we'll see what happens that follows on. But I shan't be supporting option 1E. I've listened to the debate, taken advice from the monitoring officer, and I shall be voting against option 1E. Thank you.
Jack Stevenson.
Try again, shall we? Thank you, Chair. It's become increasingly clear the proposals put forward by the County Council and City Council, and from the comments from the speakers on my left, from Councillor Camilleri and Councillor Wright, that Rushcliffe has been treated as though it's a piece of meat. It's a prize to be claimed, a piece of territory to bolster the boundaries and the tax base. In doing so, neither of those proposals is reflecting the actual geography, the identity and the community coherence of Nottinghamshire. By contrast, the option presented by Mansfield District Council, option 1E, is the only model that genuinely respects the natural, practical boundaries of the county. It proposes a division that reflects how our communities truly function, creating a North Nottinghamshire authority built on shared history, common values and real local ties. Importantly, option 1E avoids treating Rushcliffe as a financial asset to be absorbed. It instead places community identity and good governance at the centre of its design, something that alternative plans fail to do so. For this reason, I want to state that I'll be clearly and fully supporting option 1E and voting in favour of the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Councillor Wallinshaw.
Thanks, Chair, for bringing me in. I hope everybody, although there is going to be a little dissent, will be supporting the option that's been put forward by the Mayor. It's not that people haven't been consulted. People have been consulted. Now, people can either take up the opportunity to participate or not. And to be honest, local government to the people outside isn't particularly the sexiest thing in the world. And in any response, as long as it's statistically useful, is just a guideline, and it's just something that local government officers can use. There's been mention of 1974 when local government reorganisation last was undertaken, and I can remember Warsop Urban District Council and Mansfield Woodhouse Urban District Council and Mansfield Borough Council, because when I first was elected on this council in 1980, the majority of those men up there were ex-members of the Mansfield Borough Council, and they still took on the work and the effort that Mansfield Borough Council put in, right up to the event later on when people got used to having a district council that had a broader scope of functions. So how many councillors in this room have had the telephone call, when are you going to do something about my roads? Right? Oh, hang on a minute, sir. It's not a district function, but I'll be quite happy to pass on your complaints about the highways to the county councillor. You know, there is a confusion. There is a confusion, and there will be a confusion until we get the unitary authority up and running. It will be more efficient. It will be easier for people to understand. Now, at the end of the day, my friend Councillor Camilleri mentioned Councillor Cutts' proposals a few years ago about the reorganisation and the changes to local government in Nottinghamshire. Now, if all of the Conservative members of Notts County Council at that time had supported her, we wouldn't be in this position now, because we'd already have a unitary authority, but they didn't support her because they all wanted to stay in their own little fiefdoms from Rushcliffe and other places, and they all stabbed her in the back and she had to resign. So, come on, at the end of the day, local government reorganisation's been thrust upon us.
That's accurate. that is inaccurate. It was the Labour councillors who voted against Kay Cutt's idea. It wasn't the Conservative councillors. And God rest his soul, me and Vaughan Hopewell supported Labour on that night. So that's why you've not got it.
It's not a point of order, Chair, and it's just a comment from somebody that's chopped and changed his political allegiance for about 300 times, and now he's just gone, because it's politically expedient, to another political party that's exerting extreme right-wing views. Now, Councillor Wright, that's entirely up to you, and you have your point of view. I've spoken to Conservative members at County Hall when Anne and I were over there, and I can tell you now, your assessment of that is half truths, but possibly wrong. Anyway, I'm going back to what I was wanting to talk about in relation to local government reorganisation, because I think it will be a good thing. The crucial thing about local government reorganisation is this. Local government is in need of much needed finances. That means central governments have got to see the need of local services and local provision. So therefore we need central government to give us money, which has been lacking over the last 14 or 15 years, because at the end of the day, local government finances have been torn to shreds. The other thing is whether or not people need, or the other thing is people need the services that they want, and they will be able to get the services they want without the confusion of having to chop and change. Now, at the end of the day, Councillor Wright says it's possibly not a good way to spend money. Well, I say spending £74,000 on sticking some flags up is not a good way of spending money. And I think what you need to do is have a word with your leader and make sure that that money goes into the services that you're now crying about. But in saying that, I think at the end of the day, the motion before us...
Can you just, on the motion, what we were talking about?
Well, thanks for bringing me to order, Chair, and I'll accept your ruling. At the end of the day, local government reorganisation is fundamental. What we need to do is ensure that it's done seamlessly and smoothly. We need to recruit first-class officers, and if it's anything to go by, officers like our new Chief Executive will be more than sought after in relation to providing their expertise and their services. And all I would like to say to members, identity is made. I'm sure that there are people in Mansfield Woodhouse that would disagree with what Councillor Camilleri said, and I hope that everybody, apart from a few dissenters, will support the Mayor in his proposals. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Shaw. Does anybody else want to talk on the motion? Councillor Metcalfe.
I've heard a lot about words mentioned culture. I'm a newbie to Mansfield. I've only been here about 10 years, but I know I've got an identity with Mansfield as well. Mansfield is a gateway to the East Midlands as far as I'm concerned. You've got the motorway going down one side, you've got the A1 on the other. It's the access to everybody, and it's all fair and equal because everybody's got the opportunity here. I don't want Mansfield to be wasted and lose its identity. Culture-wise, in the High Street, there's a tree growing. There's a centre of Sherwood Forest. The mining heritage we've had, the new opportunities that are coming to Mansfield with businesses and things. It's a step forward to make this an agreement, to get something done in Mansfield that will change it for the future, for the better. And as far as cultural identity goes, I'm happy living here. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Metcalfe. Councillor Callahan.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I was, and as for Mansfield Woodhouse, well, obviously, if you come from Mansfield Woodhouse, you're the elite sat in this chamber. But you know, and I know the urban and everything else, and I honestly think this is the way our future needs to go. Get the resources. We've been sadly lacking because it's been siphoned off, whether you're a county or whatever. It won't be a county, it will be a unitary. And I think, you know, that line where it says local down, it's actually fundamental in saying this is why we're going for 1E. Because you say it, 1B, 1E, it's like you've had one consult. No, this is the best way forward, I believe. And I think it will deliver the much needed funds that we've been lacking for many years, that actually to put in the pot, in a hole.
Thank you, Gan. Does anybody else want to speak on the motion? Councillor Stengel.
Thank you, Chair. I think everybody's got mixed feelings on this. It is unknown to us at the moment. Yes, we've gone through something similar in the past at a lower level from Woodhouse, Warsop, other councils when it came into Mansfield District Council. But we have to be positive here. I'm not going to use the word trust because it's a big word with only 4 letters in it. Yeah. 5. It's a little word, but it means a lot. I'm dyslexic, I'll spell it backwards. Personally, I do feel that this has been rushed through. There's been lots of opportunities in the past to start this moving forward, which I was at that time disappointed about. Having been a dual-hatted councillor on county and district myself, I agree with some of the sentiments that's been said in here tonight, that it is an advantage to know that you can go and deal with any issue that comes to you on the table, on that phone call, and you can go ahead and get it dealt with. Residents are confused. They don't understand why they've got to go to one council to another, and they don't always, you can pass it on, but it doesn't always get resolved. But they think they've passed it to you and that you should have resolved it for them. So I really do believe that unitary way forward is a way forward for this country. But it has to be right. For me, it has to be right. My residents are still confused. Lots of them are still confused in what it means, what it really means. And I think the fact that we've heard tonight the percentages of people who, you know, responded to this I won't use the word consultation because it wasn't a consultation, but those numbers are very, very low. And that brings me to, and you've heard me say this only the other day in the presentation we had, this is where I have my concerns in that going to have these neighbourhood forums, whatever they're going to decide to call them, and invite the public along, to some to run them, some to have the input into them. And I am one of those that remember the area assemblies that we had in each different county around Nottinghamshire. And they were poorly attended. And looking at these figures to this response to this not consultation, I feel it's how are we going to get them to respond, to engage in these neighbourhood meetings. So that is an area of concern for me. But I am a little bit annoyed with our mayor because at that meeting he said, I know there's many of you cynical. I do hope, Mayor, that wasn't aimed at me because I am far from being cynical. So just leave it at that. Don't say it again. As I say, you weren't there, so you not know what was on about, so shut up. So for me, looking at how we split Nottinghamshire up, you know, we got to have a crystal ball here because that's the only way we're going to know what the future is going to be right and wrong. I just personally hope that along the way, there are going to be points in that future where we can change any areas that we make a decision on now to make a better choice in the future. Have you made sense? That's fine. Because the thing is, if we make something that's set in stone and it's wrong, then we are, you know, we are really looking at a crystal ball. So I will support tonight this sectioning off of Nottinghamshire. Looking at a map, it's very difficult to know which is the right way. And the only way we can look at that is taking the statistics that many of you have heard, read about, and the chief exec read them out earlier on. Because it is so difficult to know what is right or wrong. So I will be supporting the boundary of the north and south where we're looking to change it. However, they're my concerns that I hope in the future we will be able to address. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Garner.
Chairman, can I have a bit more than 5 minutes because I've got a lot to say? Right, well, okay, we'll get started. I was the first one who brought unitaries up in 2014 at Tellamore, and it was me who got in touch with Kay Cooks to start delivering this. And Mr. Henshaw is nearly right. It's nearly right. It's close, but it's nearly. What scuppered Kay Cooks' job was a couple of Conservatives who backed away from her. We did have the numbers. We did have the numbers with a casting vote from the chairman of the council at the time. That's what we was going for, and I was behind it with Kay Cooks. Unitaries is the greatest thing what will happen to this district. It will save heaps of money, heaps of money.
Councillor Garner, can you just focus on the motion, please?
Duplication of services, it will cut all that out. It will impact on jobs. There will be redundancies. But the underlying factor would be that the taxpayer will get a better deal. And we're on about saving money and the Doge job and all this saving money all over the place. Well, unitaries will do that in the right way. And anyway, regarding the areas, I was for the whole lot of Nottinghamshire and keeping the county out, right? I'm still of the view of going with Rushcliffe rather than the Gedling, because I believe Gedling is part of Nottingham City, Redhill, Sherwood, Mapplewells, is it? And Arnold, it's part of there. So I think the better deal would be for Rushcliffe and Mansfield. Also financially, of course, with everybody saying that they've got the money and nobody else has. So there is that about it. But regarding districts and areas, right, the northern sector, through your response, you're going to have to go down as far as Maplick Plain, and I believe Burton Joyce on the River Trent as part of the northern bit. Now, Burton Joyce is not far from Towton Racetrack, and Towton Racetrack is in Nottingham. So I think, Nottingham should have Gedling as opposed to the rest. So that's my argument anyway. I'm a great advocate of unitaries, so I welcome it. I really do. But I cannot really vote for the Mansfield one, what they want. I will be abstaining, but I am for unitaries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Garner. Andy Whiten.
Thank you, Chair. I'll keep it short. We've heard a lot of debate about unitaries. I think it's something that's coming. I think everybody agrees that it might save money with shared services. But I go back to the Mayor's presentation earlier, and one of the things he said was a child looking at the map of Nottinghamshire would clearly see a distinct boundary line, and the Northern Unitary that's being proposed is obviously the sensible answer to that. I fully support the Mayor's presentation and hope everyone else supports this motion tonight.
And thank you, Councillor. Does anybody else want to speak on this motion? Can I have Councillor?
Thank you, Chair. I will speak a little bit. What we're deciding here today isn't a paper exercise. It's about choosing a model that properly reflects how our communities see themselves and the lives that they live. And for Mansfield, the only option that passes the common sense test is option 1E. Mansfield is always identified as North Nottinghamshire. It's who we are, and it's how people across the county see us. A clear north-south split reflects real communities, real travel to work patterns, and real shared history. It aligns with identity, not arbitrary lines on a map. The North Notts district councils have already shown their ability of working together, and it's telling that all of them have looked at the evidence, the consultations, and the financial modelling and come to the same conclusion. 1E is the only option that makes common sense. And crucially, it was also the public's preferred option. People instinctively understood it. The idea of a Sherwood Forest Council resonated because it reflects our heritage and our place-based identity. Residents were clear that this is the model that feels right to them. Some of our members that normally sit opposite and who now lead the county council once carried the motto people before politics. However, as they abandoned their last political party, they've also abandoned their motto along with the people's preferred option. Our job is to reflect the views of residents, whether those views are not politically convenient. Strong communities are the foundation for any successful transition, and if people feel their new council reflects who they are, they will support it, they will engage with it, and more importantly, they will help shape it. And this brings me to another important advantage of option 1E, in that it places Mansfield right at the heart of the new geography. That gives us a genuine opportunity to make a case for Mansfield to become a significant location in the new authority, housed right here in Mansfield in a brand new Mansfield Connect building, a building that's designed and named to connect services and positioned perfectly to connect our North Notts communities. Finally, whatever options the government chooses, whether it's our preference or not, Mansfield District Council, us councillors and officers will have to work hard to make sure it succeeds, and this is our responsibility. But today our job is simply to express a view, and our view is simple. Option 1E works with the grain of our communities. It's financially credible, geographically logical, and rooted in the identity of the people we represent. It is quite simply the only option that makes common sense for Mansfield. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Craig. Elected Mayor, want to respond?
Yeah, there was some detail saying, well, it was very complicated, the report I gave. You've all had a copy of the business proposal, 177 pages, 272, including the appendices, carried out by experienced officers and consultants that actually deal on facts and not old rhetoric and waffle that I've heard tonight. All our yesterdays looking backwards and never looking forwards, it's just not the way to go. Everyone knows the system of local government, the way it's funding and the way it's working right now is broken. Millions of pounds worth of debt, it wasn't working. And so people talk about a rushed timetable. Well, you've been talking for years about these changes, and with regard to, there'll be many stories about who refused the single unitary. It came back again. It was too big, and all leaders of every 7 districts wrote to the government, irrespective of their political allegiance, and rejected it. And that's why it got rejected as well, despite what happens with you in fighting. But it's all about looking forward, and it's for the people of Mansfield, and it's going to give us the opportunity to join neighbourhoods up. It's a false boundary between Reneth and Blideth and Clipston and whatever. Once we get to one unitary, people who went out in Clipston, you come downtown to Mansfield. So I really find it so difficult that, especially with the reform that were all about people and Mansfield and whatever, you know, they've got this, they seem to know what Nottingham City is going to be the preferred option. I don't know where that's coming from. You've got very complicated boundary changes that would take forever to sort out, and that's another factor in this. We've followed the rules as set out by government because we want to be professional and do our best, what is best for Mansfield and our district. And people, I will take on board everything you've said from the comments this evening, but it's true that we are united as a community. We have that sensible geography, and we will make it work and join up our district and healthcare, the partnerships we already have, and I really do believe this is the start of the continuing renaissance of Mansfield going forward. So I want us to get behind us and let's push Mansfield forward with the option 1E. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Now we'll move to the vote. Can we vote on this motion? Votes for. I need need 10 councillors to do board of vote. Need 10.
Right, so we've had 10 members request a recorded vote, so I will call your names one by one in alphabetical order, but starting there, and ask you to say whether you're voting for or against the recommendations or whether you're abstaining. So to start with, Mayor, please. Councillor Abbs. Councillor Anderson.
Dane.
The Beaches. The Bell. Councillor Bergen. Councillor Callaghan. Mary.
Dane.
Cole. Foxhead. Ness. Anna.
4 unitaries, but not the option. So I'll abstain.
Councillor Hammersley. Councillor Hartshorn. Nothing, sorry, thank you. Councillor Henshaw. Sure.
For.
Councillor Hughes. Councillor Inkle. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Langrick. Kenzie. Councillor Metcalfe. Councillor Moxon. Councillor North. Councillor Richardson. Councillor Stendal. Councillor Stevenson. Councillor Swinscoe.
For.
Councillor Tempest Mitchell.
For.
Councillor Walker. Councillor Wetton.
For.
Councillor Whitby.
For.
Councillor Wright. I'll just Right.
This motion's carried.
So that's 26 votes for, 1 against and 6 abstentions.
Item 12 of motion. Are there any motions for today's meeting?
There's one, Chair.
Councillor Paul Henshaw.
Thanks for bringing me in, Chair. Would hope that all members in the chamber tonight could support the motion. Thank you.
Have a second.
A second and reserve the right. Thank you.
Does anyone wish to comment on the motion? Councillor Jackson.
Thank you, Chair. This motion is about recommending that the council provides mental health awareness and other mental health training as part of the member development programme. As I sit on the Health and Wellbeing Board, I'm very aware that at the last meeting of the Health and Wellbeing Board, we had a conversation about what is known as making every contact count. And what that means is when individuals, whether they be staff or members, go into people's homes, there's an expectation and a hope that they will ask those people, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Now, the response to those questions may well be something that members are not trained to deal with. If somebody says, I don't feel very well, I feel I might harm myself, the members have to be equipped with some training to respond to that question. So I think this is extremely timely. It fits in with the ethos coming from the Health and Wellbeing Board, and it also assures me, because some of my concerns at that board were, how are we going to support our members when they're going into people's homes and potentially asking questions? Personally, I have been in the home of a resident who told me that she didn't want to be here anymore. Now, I'm very fortunate. I've got a health background and I've worked in mental health, so I felt equipped to deal with that. What I did was I actually phoned the GP and got the GP to have a conversation with the lady, but not everybody would think that clearly in that situation. So I fully support the motion. I'd also like to take the opportunity to recommend the Not Alone website to members. That's a website that people can access, which gives immediate direction for people suffering a mental health crisis. So that's quite a useful resource for everybody. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor North.
Chair. Uniquely positioned local environments, using education to transform green spaces, which are social determinants. Trained advocates that reduce inequalities and well-being. So mental health training is essential for councils because it enables us to do better support, decisions and care. Most importantly, councillors regularly engage with residents, people who may be experiencing crisis, trauma, isolation, mental health issues. Knowing how to approach these conversations with empathy and appropriate boundaries is really, so I will be supporting this motion.
Thank you for that. Yes. Councillor Dennis.
In my life outside of being a councillor, for many years I've been part of campaign groups trying to make the mental health system in the nation better. So as a result, I have had an understanding of this through that and from my own experiences. As a result of that, when I have been approached by residents in Parkhall, I've been able to have the kind of conversations they needed to at the time. But the truth is, I had that knowledge and that experience because of stuff outside of council. To put it bluntly and to use a famous line, councillors need to know who to call in such situations, because I really have had calls from residents who I really think just wanted to talk sometimes, and in those situations we need to know how we are going to help people, because the truth is, if somebody is having suicidal ideation, there's very specific things that are best to do, because approaching somebody directly is actually the wrong thing to do. The best thing you can do is you can distract somebody, you can slow them down. Have a conversation about something that's unrelated to what they're doing, and we need to know how to be able to do that effectively. So this is why this training is needed. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Callanan.
I will be supporting as you know, we have actually done training council, and it's sure. And I would say to our colleagues chamber, I am sure you've experience mental well-being. We have got quite a high number of males that have taken their life, and actually to be able to everybody else involved, also while maintaining our own. I will be training.
Thank you for that. Jane Beaches, councillor. Thank you, councillor Beaches. Anderson.
Chair. As councillors, we are in an excellent position to champion mental health for our residents and encourage open conversations about this. I fully support Councillor Jackson's endorsement of the Not Alone website, which offers a wide range of support on mental health issues and then signposts people to the correct services available to them. We will be supporting this motion tonight, and also the elements within the motion that call for more mental health awareness training within this council. Thank you, Chair.
Does anybody else want to comment on this motion?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say, you know, the prevent agenda, it's a word, but it's about how you go about your everyday business and your interactions with people as you're going about that, and the multiple services and the situations that councillors get into. It's a really it's really tough out there, cost of living. We hear on the news about a kind of mental health kind of epidemic post-COVID, all sorts of things. And you can't, you know, just make it up as you go along. You do need that specific training. I am proud of the way we've developed a culture in Mansfield District Council, especially through the DAHA accreditation, which is a kind of, you know, every one of our employees kind of out there, when they're looking and delivering them services, they come across things that might cause them concern. And it kind of feeds into this idea that you've got to know how to have the right conversation and what the correct actions are to do. I did have some personal experience because I was a volunteer at the Beacon for 18 months, obviously with the homeless people. And the ones that we worried about was the ones that were quiet and said nothing. And then, you know, on a few occasions, they just weren't there the next week and they'd taken their life. So the suicide prevention charter that you've been talking about, it's an excellent document, but it says suicide, it's okay to talk about it, and just saying the right thing at the right time to someone could save someone's life. So I think it was excellent training and document that they did. County Council and the city and the NHS approved. So I think it's really important that we take this subject seriously and we get that training. Thank you.
Mayor. Yeah, I would say a few items myself because family, we've had problems in a cousin and that a few years ago. Used to do a lot of decorating and whatever, but he suffered with mental health. And one particular time we went home and we got the dragged message to say that he'd committed suicide. So agree on everybody what everybody said today. Okay, thank you. Anybody want to talk on this motion? No. Councillor Swinscoe.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Like you, Chair, over the years, I've known a couple of people who have actually taken their own lives. One was in the 30s who had a young family, and the other was a young 19-year-old man. And I've seen the devastation that has been left behind. And during my time as a councillor, on 3 occasions, I have had people come to me, twice in a surgery and once when I visited a home where the persons involved have said that they wanted to end it, that they wanted to take their own lives. Fortunately, in all 3 occasions, everything worked out well. But at the time, it's knowing what to say to these people to try and not to make something worse as well, because I feel restricted at what I can say and what I don't want to trigger anything. So to have some sort of training that would support me when meeting these residents would be really helpful. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Swinscoe. Can I bring Pauline like to reply?
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks to all the members that participated in the debate. I totally agree with Councillor Jackson said. It's all about equipping members to react to a particular situation, and there seems to have been a commonality running through the meeting in relation to councillors having people that for whatever reason reach out to us and express views that sometimes we aren't able to directly help with. So that's why I think it's vital that we all have this additional support and training. It's about, like Councillor Dines mentioned and Councillor North, it's how we help people, how we advise people to the best of our ability. Additional training will help us do that. And Councillor Callaghan and Beaches, I know you're fundamental in relation to the work that you do in your communities, and hopefully this additional support and training, as Anne said, some county councils have already had it, because when this came up before the county council, it went through unanimously. There was no political disagreement, because we all saw the value in what we were trying to achieve. In fact, there were some moving testimonies during that debate, and it sort of opened all our eyes to the situation that some people find themselves in. And Councillor Anderson will remember that that debate as well, and we had a vast amount of support from we supported the Conservative group in relation to that. Mayor Andy, in relation to the culture at Mansfield District Council, I totally agree that we have a good culture, and we have an emphasis on helping our managers and employees to and support them during these sorts of traumatic times. In fact, we have, I think, at the last count, 9 mental health first aiders that employees can actually contact if they feel that they need someone to talk to, all confidential, but there as an additional support. And
I just think that it's something that we all should be learning about, something we should be trained up about, and thanks Councillor Swinscoe for ably supporting the motion, and I recommend the motion to members. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paul. Sure. We are moving to the vote. Can we have the vote? Can we have some? That vote's carried unanimous. Concluding the business today, the meeting of the councillors, can I ask members to remain in the chamber for the meeting of the Councillors Act for Charity Trust? Please, thank you.
Thank you, Chair.